Well, are you in the market for a used car? Well, if you are, get ready to pay some big bucks. According to a new report from Edmunds, the average 3-year-old used car will now cost you more than $32,000. And joining me now with more is Ivan Drury, the director of Insight for Edmunds. So, Ivan, I just read that statistic there. The used car market used to be the place to go, like the much more affordable place. So the big question is, what is driving this surge?
We're seeing that lag time from a few years ago, right? New car sales eventually become used car sales. The problem is, years ago, new car sales were down. Therefore, we have a shortage. This is like econ 101 for everybody. Unfortunately, it's hard to see that problem up front when it's something that happened back in 2021, 2022, and 2023.
And so, Ivan, is the war with Iran and, of course, the resulting surge in gas and oil prices impacting the market at all here?
We're seeing an impact in the sense that people are looking at, electrified vehicles, whether it be partial or fully. And when it comes to new cars, definitely hybrids, right? That's something that people have really gravitated towards. You see that those are going for essentially a premium where they sell at MSRP. On the used end, we've seen that full-on EVs, they're kind of going for a little bit more than what they were months prior. Nothing out of control. They're still actually a very good deal and a bright spot in the used market.
Yeah, as a former EV owner, I can certainly attest to that. Okay, so Ivan, let me ask you this. Which brands are seeing the biggest increases right now? Because it varies.
Yeah, it varies kind of wildly. If you go into the used market and you've got a budget of like $15,000, you can either buy a newer Kia or a much older Toyota. And something like a Ford, you'll find that like F-150s, right? One of those prevalent vehicles in the United States, they're still very expensive. You can spend a good $20,000, $30,000 on F-150, and it still might be 5 or 7 years old.
And so finally, Ivan, for someone who's watching this who says, I don't know what to do, should I do new or do I do used? What tips do you have for people who are looking to buy a used car right now?
If you're looking to buy used, one of the best areas you can go to is certified pre-owned. This is vehicles, they're like 2, 3, and 4 years old typically. There might actually be incentives that mirror new cars. There's like low APR. You might even get cash back opportunities, things like that. Another thing to think about is if you're going to buy with a large down payment, look into maybe leveraging that in sense of borrowing even more money, because you have to kind of reset your expectations in today's market. 15 grand doesn't buy you the same car that it used to 7 or 8 years ago. Now, if you borrow a little more, you'll get a lot more. Incremental spending gets you much younger vehicles with a lot lower miles than it did back in the day.
So what I hear you saying is be ready to pivot, but also shop around, but shop smart as well.
Precisely.
All right, Ivan Drury, thank you so much for weighing in.